Listen, I'll talk about Maki, the best character in Jujutsu Kaisen after Akari, in the next video. But let's talk about the madman Sukuna, because what he's doing right now is about to get the community, or already has got the community, in a pretty bad state. A lot of people don't like what's about to happen. Throughout this fight against Gojo, this topic of who is truly stronger has been one of the most toxic and biggest debates of all time. Till this day, many still argue the topic, calling Sukuna a fraud for needing the 10 shadows, or more specifically needing Maharaga. Can Sukuna even defeat Gojo without the 10 shadows? Can Gojo even defeat Hainer and Sukuna? And things of that nature. Gege made sure to throw salt in the Gojo fans' wounds, including myself, after he had Gojo get off screen, and then proceeded to have Gojo on his 2 knees chatting about how he wishes he could have made Sukuna give his all. He also said in that chapter again that Sukuna was friggin' strong and he wasn't giving it his all, which at first didn't make sense to me at all. I tried to rationalize why Gojo would believe this BS, cause Gojo almost killed this guy on several occasions. All that typical stuff that the Gojo fans were saying, including myself. But then I remembered Gojo said even without Maharaga, it would be a pretty tough fight. I still kinda don't get what he meant by this, since Sukuna didn't use anything besides cleave and dismantle to make Gojo believe this. But in the latest chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, I believe it's going to further confirm what Gojo meant. Before we continue, guys, make sure you guys take the time to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I got some theories cooking up this week, so stick around if you guys want to see those. The next part of the video might trigger Gojo fans. I'm content with Gojo and what happened. I grieved, I've coped, and I've recovered, so I'm thinking with a clear head now. Just in the fight with Sukuna and Gojo, you could come to the conclusion that Sukuna was holding back to Gojo. Sukuna wasn't holding back in the sense that he was pulling his punches and not trying his hardest, but because he was limiting himself to what he could do. He went to this fight with a game plan, that being using the 10 shadows with Maharaga to find a way to bypass Gojo's infinity. And because he went with this plan, he had to limit himself to using the 10 shadows for majority of the fight. We already know that Sukuna has other ways of bypassing infinity, but he chose this route specifically. Even in a lot of the altercations with Gojo, he had to be cautious using domain amplification for the sake of Maharaga's adaptation. Not just Sukuna adapting to infinity, but was also part of his plan to have Maharaga adapt to Unlimited Void. This is not me saying he planned to get hit by that Unlimited Void, by the way, so just chill out. But also Gojo wonders why Sukuna is not using any curse techniques besides the one granted to his domain. But little does Gojo know that Sukuna was using the 10 shadows the entire time specifically in order for him to get Maharaga to adapt. Even in their domain clashes, Sukuna opted to more riskier options like making a binding vow to destroy Gojo's domain from the outside. Even after Gojo switched to internal and external factors when he could have destroyed it from the inside, as Gojo stated himself. We then come to find out after Gojo was killed that Sukuna wanted a model for Maharaga and how to bypass Gojo's infinity. But he didn't strictly just want it for that. He wanted something greater. It was also stated that Sukuna was anticipating an ability that expands the technique's target to acquire a slash that, as Sukuna says, that can cut the space, the entire world, and existence itself. It targets everything before it unleashes those slashes. To obtain this required a second adaptation for Maharaga after he adapted to infinity. And as we know, this is called the world cutting slash. So the reason why I'm saying all this is to convey that Sukuna wasn't showing us everything he could possibly do for the sake of what he wanted to acquire. Meanwhile, Gojo was able to fight unhindered because he didn't have those constraints. He was able to use everything in his arsenal plus more. Holding back isn't the best way to describe the way Sukuna went about this fight. I think limiting himself would be more accurate. Once again, that doesn't mean I'm saying the Sukuna that fought Gojo wasn't trying his hardest. We could clearly see that, but he just wasn't using everything he had. It's very obvious he had more in his arsenal that he didn't use, and whether those things would have worked on Gojo or not isn't really my point. It's just the fact that Sukuna was limiting himself. I lied. It is my point whether that would work on Gojo or not, because I know some people are going to be like, those abilities probably wouldn't even bypass infinity, so you can't really say that. But I kind of feel like it's implied that what he was holding back could be effective against Gojo. I feel like that's the narrative being pushed right now, with Gojo saying a non-10 shadow Sukuna would give him a very close fight, and him saying Sukuna wasn't giving his all despite the fact that Gojo knows his infinity is something that's extremely hard to counter, makes it seem like whatever Sukuna was holding back could possibly work on Gojo. Even in the latest chapter, we get revealed to Urame mentioning that even after the after effects restraining Sukuna from the battle with Gojo, Sukuna has yet to use his full power. On top of Gojo implying Sukuna was capable of more, and even Kusakabe mentions that Sukuna could be withholding a trump card this entire time from where the students jumping. So something crazy is being hyped up about Sukuna right now that could be game changing. By the way, Kusakabe could have been referring to the Heian era body, but it's all up to your interpretation. But I just want to say for the record, this isn't an ass pull as many people are making it seem. It's been established that Sukuna has more tricks in his sleeves many times to us. Even in this video, I gave you guys some examples, so I don't see why people are upset about this. It doesn't really make sense. I know the memes are funny about Sukuna, his secret high and error technique he had back in the day whenever something convenient happens for him, but we know he has some more going on to him. The only thing we can come to a conclusion about is that Sukuna is holding back his black box abilities. We already know about the flaming arrow, and I don't think that's the only ability, since what it seems like it wouldn't be a huge game changer for the hype that Sukuna is receiving, but it's still a very impressive ability, and for all we know, he could have other abilities just as broken or better, or even have better versions of the flame arrow. If we go back to what Kusakabe said about the black box is a part of the brain where curse techniques are concerned or stored, so it's possible that Sukuna might be able to tap into different techniques from the black box, since we literally saw it on panel when Sukuna used a completely different technique from Cleave and Dismantle after he opened the black box. But it's been said to us you can't store too many curse techniques without an external source, but then again, this is Sukuna, so who the fuck knows. We see Sukuna's curse tool has the property of lightning, which could be correlated to another curse technique. Honestly, whatever Sukuna is withholding could be a game changer and easily be a hacks ability. Urame said this chapter she could tell Sukuna didn't use everything he possesses because of his cursed energy waves. Like, what the fuck? So whatever this is must give him some different type of aura, you know what I'm trying to say? Regardless of what we debate and how Sukuna will showcase these new tricks he has in his sleeve, I think Gege is trying to spread to us that Sukuna should just be outright stronger than Gojo to the readers. That's the message I believe he's trying to convey to us, regardless of whether Gojo portrayed that in their battle. Even when it comes to high or Sukuna as well, I know this is gonna be a huge topic, but like when Gojo died, Gege literally had him say in the official translation, because I wasn't even using that the entire time, but I'm gonna whip it out to help my point. Gege had Gojo say even without the 10 shadows, he doesn't know if he could beat Sukuna, and now we're about to see what Sukuna was holding back. These two things, in my opinion, are definitely correlated, and it's gonna explain why Gojo said this, because like I said, I don't know why he said this. Throughout Gojo's fight with Sukuna, the 10 shadows technique is what allowed Sukuna to bypass infinity. The 10 shadows technique, aka Maharaga, is what allowed him to escape unlimited void. Gojo has more reason to believe that he needed the 10 shadows, so this is why I think Gojo saying this is set up for what we're about to see. Same way how Urami was setting up Sukuna, saying he didn't go all out. Gege was giving us Gojo slopping him, like giving him the slops when it didn't even really make sense to us at the time, and now he's getting the slops. If Gege gonna make it clear in the Gojo fight, I think he's trying to make it clear through the characters. I don't know. After we see what Sukuna could do, I think that's the time where I should make the high nerve Sukuna versus Gojo video. Everybody has already made it, so I get to do it now with a full power Sukuna that's using everything. It would be pretty cool. Yep, I hope I didn't offend no Gojo fans in this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let's talk about Maki in the next video. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.